This is the main review of Tomb CRYPTMASTER, the first expansion of the game Tomb, and in this review I will assume that you're already familiar with the original Tomb. If you're not, you can watch the other video that I prepared where I explain the basic elements of Tomb. CRYPTMASTER contains a bag of new characters that can be used independently or can be combined with the characters of the old game. There is really like a lot of them. You're gonna have a lot of fun just, getting to know them all and to try them and to see how they work together. The art is exquisite. This is really high level, extremely pleasant. Little problem as in the original game is that most of the time you will actually not be able to enjoy the art because you will be looking at the stats on the back of the cards because you will want to know what your characters can do. But so be it. So many characters, a lot of fun, incredible amount of combinations and situations that can come from these cards. If you played the original Tomb, you're probably going to be very excited about the rulebook of CRYPTMASTER because you will look here for all the answers that you couldn't find in the original book. You will hope to find here clarifications about rules and things. Well, I am sad to report that somehow they managed to make things even worse in this new book. There's nothing in it that resembles even vaguely an index. Information is scattered all around in completely counterintuitive places, so it's going to be very hard for you to retrieve information in case you need to double check things as you're going with the game. Like in the original Tomb, in CRYPTMASTER you will find a pretty substantial deck of encounter cards that will represent treasures, traps, monsters, all sort of things that might happen to your party when they are raiding the crypts, and all sort of things that will make the life of your party harder or easier or, well, in any case, more interesting. A new type of encounter that you can find in the crypt that you have in CRYPTMASTER is the curse. The curses really, they work in a very similar way as the traps. I kind of see them as a variation of the trap idea. The main difference is that their effect, which is a penalty, such as this one, move -5, their effect is more long-lasting rather than just like one hit like the traps. But again, aside from that, they are not very different from the traps. Something that is new and that I find very interesting is the Overlords. The Overlords, and you have quite a few of them, and you will only use one in each game. The Overlords are extremely powerful monsters, a lot of health, special abilities, but also a lot of X points in case the characters manage to kill them. The Overlords, again, they present an extra challenge. They work like the bosses in video games. But what is really interesting about them is that many of them have special abilities that affect not just the encounter with the Overlord himself, but the entire game. For example, if this Overlord is in play, each time a monster in any crypt wounds or kills a character, it might take and attach one in card from the targeted character. It means that when this guy is in place, every monster in the Tomb can steal items from the characters and use them against the characters. We had a game where we were using this guy and it was extremely interesting, extremely fun. It really added complexity and a new level of depth. It made the game so much more interesting. Other characters, other monsters, Overlords will have special effects, again, affecting the entire game and changing, by doing so, the dynamic of the entire game. It is a fun addition. It is definitely a welcome addition to CRYPTMASTER. Another new thing that you have in CRYPTMASTER is the CRYPTMASTER cards. These are cards that you can acquire in the inn, just like you would acquire any other inn card. You keep them in your hand, and what is interesting is that you play them when other people are raiding crypts. When they're raiding the crypts, you use these cards that basically allow you to, well, do all sort of nasty things to the other parties. Make the monsters in that crypt more deadly. Destroy the treasures before the characters can get to them. Make the traps much harder to disarm. All sort of bad things. These definitely make the game more confrontational. In the original Tomb, you kind of like went your own way, the other parties went their own way, everybody was trying their luck. Here you really can hurt, you really can affect the other players negatively. So that's a factor that you may want to keep into account. However, the wonderful thing about the CRYPTMASTER card is that they cut down the downtime considerably. Now, when other people are playing, you will be playing these cards against them, or even if you don't, actually you will be thinking about that. You will be planning your strategy. Is this the right moment for me to use it? Should I use it now? Should I use it later? When is it more profitable? So it does add quite a bit to the game. Another new thing in CRYPTMASTER is the mercenary rule. Now, certain characters even have a specific mercenary trait, which means they are particularly good at it, but every character in CRYPTMASTER now has the option of acting as a mercenary, which means you can send in one of your characters to help another party when they are raiding a crypt. Your character might be helping disarming a trap or fighting a monster, not in a completely altruistic fashion, of course, because then you will be gaining points from helping other people that way. What is really great about this rule, of course, is that it gives you more options, more things to do when it's not your turn. Now, when you're just sitting there and waiting for your turn to come around, you will be deciding, oh, should I be evil and play a CRYPTMASTER card? Should I try to make more points by, volunteering one of my cards as a mercenary? You will have so many more things to do, to think about. It really will make CRYPTMASTER move much faster than the original Tomb. Final thoughts about Tomb and CRYPTMASTER. They're both very fun games. They are both enjoyable. They're not very gamey games, meaning that there is more theme than game here. Just because the rules are so up in the air, whereas the theme is so present, you really have the sense that you're leading these adventurers, getting those treasures, fighting those monsters. The theme is there like 100%. So if you love this theme, you're probably gonna enjoy these games a lot. The only thing in CRYPTMASTER that is worse than Tomb is the rulebook. It is still so confusing, even more confusing, and this will affect the game somehow. If you have the right group of friends, they're in the right mood, they don't mind discussing the rules and changing them and revising them as the game goes, well, that maybe will not bother you too much. They are competitive games, but in a certain way they play almost as cooperative games. Half of the time you will be trying to do better than the other players, and the other half you will be working together with the other players in order to make the components come together and the game make sense to you. CRYPTMASTER adds more cards, more maps, more characters, more monsters, so there is more variety from game to game, especially if you combine the elements of CRYPTMASTER with the regular Tomb. However, CRYPTMASTER also adds new elements like the Overlords or the CRYPTMASTER cards and a couple of other rules that really make the game more enjoyable, really make it move faster. It's a much more interesting game. Also, it doesn't feel just like an expansion, but it feels like a real redesign of the game. This is why somehow CRYPTMASTER also looks like this is the original game, like the series starts here, just because the game is so much richer. And then, if you like the game and you want to get more elements, more cards, more stuff, then you buy Tomb. So it really also looks like a reboot of the system, not just as a sequel. The luck factor, it is still definitely there. Still in CRYPTMASTER you have cards that are more powerful, monsters that are more deadly, treasures that are much more useful, and you do not have much control over those, a very limited control. So if that bothers you, CRYPTMASTER is not going to do much better than Tomb. However, if you're there for the theme, if you're there to see how this fantasy, crazy adventure unfolds, how it develops, how the game surprises you every time from game to game, well, then again, maybe you can overlook the luck factor and even the unbalance factor a little bit. If you're trying to decide between CRYPTMASTER and Tomb, I would say to go for CRYPTMASTER first. There is nothing in the original Tomb that you do not have in CRYPTMASTER. CRYPTMASTER has more things. So if you like those, well, that's just great. If you don't, actually you have the option. You just don't bring them into the game, and you can still play basic Tomb with CRYPTMASTER, and the opposite, of course, is not true. Final consideration, really, CRYPTMASTER is a very good game, is a fun game. With the right group of friends, you really might have a blast playing it, and bottom line, I highly recommend it.